volunteer work. I love the sport too, and I want to make sure it not only continues but continues to thrive. And I think that there's some great things happening out there. Actually, there's been some bad press about MMA recently, but I mean, like Eddie Goldman is fantastic trying to push MMA in New York, and I guess there's some talk about that might be happening because they can tax it. They need the money.
Yeah, they do. I had the opportunity to talk to Eddie not too long ago. He's a great guy, and he's doing a lot of good work out there in New York. And I
love talking to him. So knowledgeable about lots of things, particularly MMA. But he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a very, very wise individual. I look up to him in a lot of ways. That's for sure. Now, just like we were...
Like a yucca like that, huh?
Yeah. And you know he listens to country music?
Pardon me? Say that one more time.
Did you know that Eddie Goldman listens to country music?
You know, that is one of those fun facts that I did not know.
Yeah, he listens to some old classic country music. And I was asking him about that not too long ago, and he said that in New York he used to go to a country bar quite a while ago, and it got shut down, and that's where his love for country music grew, and it's just a fun fact, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Actually, my brother recently about 5 years ago, turned me on to country music, Western music. I'm just getting into it as well. Don't ask me to name names because I'm not that proficient in it yet, but he's always sending me YouTube sites and songs and stuff, so I'm actually into country music as well. So I did not know Eddie was into that. I'll have to ask him his advice as to what I should listen to. Give me a starter kit in country music.
You wouldn't think, but it's funny, and he likes some good stuff. Is that where your podunk or your cowpoke phrase came into play, maybe?
Actually, I think we missed a couple of emails to get to each other. I agree. My husband gave me an iPad for Christmas, and when I was emailing you earlier, setting up the time to make this Skype call, I was typing away as if I were on my regular keyboard, and of course, it's part of the actual machine itself. It's not a separate keyboard, and the iPad did a spell check on its own. So instead of saying, "I hope you braved the storm all right," and then I don't even know how the heck cowpoke came out. I don't even know what I was trying to say, but somehow it changed brave to beaver, and whatever I was trying to say to cowpoke. So you didn't get my apology email after that, then, did you?
No, I did. Well, I honestly, I got the first one, and I read it, and I said, well, this is going to be a fun interview, that's for sure.
What kind of medication is she taking? I sent you an email afterwards saying I hope you, sorry, due to spell check, I hope that you beavered the storm, and now I got to go out and milk some cows. Which is where that all came from. So basically, it was a spell check error. Sorry about that.
Technology, you gotta love it. Yeah,
you gotta love it.
You got to. Now, we were talking a minute ago how, just us fans in general are so excited. We really get pumped when we hear you practice your craft. And have you gotten any feedback from fighters saying they kind of get pumped when they hear you call out their name?
I cannot recall which fighter it was, unfortunately, but over the last few months, it might have been when I did IFC in Israel. No, it had to have been longer ago than that. But some of the younger fighters have come up to me saying, when I was growing up, all I could think of to myself was I've no mate when I got Lenne Hardt calling my name, and I thought, my God, am I that old? But of course, it's been 12, 15 years since I started this. So of course, these guys would have been kids studying. That's a wonderful thing to hear, though. I mean, it also makes me feel, like I should be worried about getting Alzheimer's or something now because it's old. But I am, of course, very pleased to hear that. Yeah, the fighters. I've never actually. There's only one fighter who I cannot name because it's kind of a negative thing to say. There's only one fighter who was kind of a jerk about it.
Really? No joke.
Always told me I was mispronouncing his name, but I never did mispronounce it, so I don't know what the problem was with that. But all the other fighters, I mean, many of them are my friends, or personal friends, and I just think they're wonderful. There are two people in the world that I really respect most, and that's dancers and athletes, particularly MMA athletes. Right. I'm gobsmacked by them. I'm awe-inspired by them. And for them to turn around and say that, they're excited when I call their name, I just think it's just kind of ridiculous. I mean, they're the stars. They're the ones to look up to. And if they turn around and say something nice like that to me, of course it makes me feel fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine. And a lot of fighters, especially some of the guys who've been around for a while, they seem like some really, really pleasant guys, some really fun guys, which a lot of people probably wouldn't expect. But in your community, with the inner circle there, with the actual what's going on, with you and the fighters and the production crew and all that, I imagine it's got to be a pretty fun atmosphere amongst all the anxiety of running a show.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, the announcers really are great. We have a great team, and we've been together for such a long time. We really feel like family. It runs very smoothly. Everyone can trust what the other one does. It's kind of like being in my band, where you get a click going, and you know what you can depend on with the others. It's really great to work with them. With the fighters and stuff like that, we don't really actually have that much interaction with them before or during the events. Sometimes we get a chance to hang out with them afterwards, or if we go away, for example, we're going to be spending the night in Osaka or something, then we might all meet up at the same restaurant or something afterwards. And I have of the hundreds and hundreds of athletes I've met, there have been less than a handful of athletes that I didn't have just an immense amount of respect for. These guys are multilingual, multi-talented, and they're always gentlemen. They're gentlemen, and they're very intelligent. And I think those are two things that often get overlooked.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. They make a lot of good. They make some excellent role models for, younger guys and kids, I think.
I think so too, and girls. I think girls need to get into the sport more. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing Tough Enough in Las Vegas now. I hope that goes on and it continues to spread and expands to other areas. I think women should get involved in MMA more. I know they've got some stuff going on right now, but I want it to be more, more like what we do with Dream, more like what's going on with Strikeforce. I think it's good to see that happening because it's nice to have female role models as well.
It is, and females put on some of the best fights I've ever seen. Females rarely let you down when it comes to a fight. They take it really seriously. They train hard, and they come out and they try to end the fight, and that's what it's all about. They like putting on a show and entertaining, and we respect.
Well, that's a really important aspect of that. I think that's one of the things that differs with MMA and say boxing, which I also think is a great sport. MMA, I think the athletes. Because of the fans, I think it's because of the fans. The athletes feel like putting on a show. They I can relate to this, having been from a theater background. Where you're on stage, you're there to entertain someone, and you get great feedback from the audience. Just makes you want to entertain them more. These guys are in the ring to do their sport, but they've got such great support from the fans that it winds up becoming entertainment as well. And the ones who really excel in it are the ones that know that.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. And of course, girls could do that too. Just getting back to that.
Yeah, they certainly can. Yeah, Gary, you had something?
Yeah, a lot of people on our forum are asking questions. One of the questions was, what was your happiest moment seeing a fighter win? There have been a lot of moments in Pride, such as Cole Cop winning the open weight Grand Prix, and there's been a lot of fights, and people just seem to want to know what was your happiest moment seeing a fighter win.
That's an interesting question. This just off the top of my head, having not put much thought into it. When you first mentioned that, the first thing that popped in my head, probably Mark Coleman when he brought his daughters up.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I don't even know if he won that night. I think it might have been his retirement fight.
Yeah.
Was one of the happiest moments that I had. Just seeing him there with his kids. Don Fry. One of his wins, I don't remember which one it was at Saitama Super Arena. The thing that's really interesting, it's kind of like when I was a waitress /actress in New York, I would walk down the street and people come up and say, "Hi, how are you?" And I wouldn't remember who they were, but of course they knew me because they had been into my restaurant or the bar that I worked at or wherever, right? And the same thing is with these fights. I see so many of the fights that I cannot always differentiate one from the other. For me, it's always happy moments. Yeah. And I know that sounds like a real cop-out, but it's not. It's that there are so many great moments that I've seen in the ring. And it's not necessarily always a win. It's not necessarily always a happy moment. It's just a great moment. I was at Takayama and John Fry just going at each other in the ring, not because it was brutal, but because neither one of them wanted to give up. I don't know if you know the fight I'm referring to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's always amazing to watch Mino Laman. I'm always happy when he wins because it's against all odds. It's true fighting spirit in that man.
Yeah. So
I'm really sorry to disappoint the person who asked that question. I cannot give you too specific an answer. Sounds awful, but I have to say, they're all kind of great moments, I think, you know?
Yeah, there have been a ton. There have been a ton of great moments.
Mm.
Yeah, Gary, what else? Anybody else asking anything in the forum?
There's one question is, how come you think that there's such a difference between, the Japanese style of fighting and the American style of fighting? It seems like in Japan it's more about kind of finishing the fight and just there's just like a feeling of respect, the Bushido spirit. And in America, it's more about winning and just,
Mm. Was the questioner asking why I think it's different, or was the questioner asking
why you think it's different?
Why do I think it's different? Well, obviously a lot of it's cultural, and obviously the fighters come from all over the world. But when they get here, they're in the Japanese culture. The way they're treated here by the fans, by the production companies, by the announcers, they're treated very differently. Maybe it goes back to all the way to sumo. Even there's a great deal of respect for hand combat sports, for people using their strength against another's strength on a one-on-one sport, and I think including with each other. So when these guys get in the ring here, might be the same two fighters who fought in a ring in America or in Russia or someplace. But when they come here and do it, it's the way they're being treated. And I think that's why they act differently, too, in the ring. You see them, hugging each other after the fight or saying, that guy was a great opponent. Or I think you see a little bit more of that here. Maybe, I'm not sure that this is true. Maybe it's cultural. Maybe it's because we treat it grandly here with all the, the pyrotechnics and the entrance music and the videos and all. We let them know, that we think they're grand, so they act more grand, possibly. That's it. Yeah, I don't know. There's a little bit more of a culture of violence, I think, in America with the video games and there is more violence in America, right? So, you don't have a lot of, shootings or gang disturbances or anything like that here. So maybe they don't expect that. Fans don't expect that, and therefore the fighters don't give it. That's a possibility. It's a good question, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see it with, just from the fans, you see, Dream, Sengoku, Pride, Shudo, Pancrase, even if one of the heroes like Sakuraba is fighting, they're silent throughout the whole fight. In America, they're bloodthirsty, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah, you can go to YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, okay, no worries. I don't know if bloodthirsty is it. I mean, I know that MMA is not a blood sport, and I know the fans know that, but all over the world. But I think a lot of it is that. Oh gosh, you know what? I just lost my train of thought. Say something quick. Cover me.
Well, one thing I love about watching.
Oh, silence. I know. Okay, I got it back. Sorry. You said something about silence. I'm sitting right ringside. I've got the best seat in the house, right? I'm ringside. There's no one in front of me. I'm right there. But I can hear the comments because of the acoustics in the place. I can hear the comments of all the people around me, which your viewers may not be able to. And even if they could, they don't speak Japanese, maybe.
Yeah, right.
What's interesting about you're talking about the difference between fights here and fights in the Western cultures. You don't hear really people here saying things like, yeah, kill him, yeah, knock his teeth out, beat the crap out of him, or anything like that. You don't hear those kind of comments. What you will hear is, go Saku, or keep it up, or try hard, or you can do it.
Encouraging
when they're supporting their preferred athlete. Yeah. That's an interesting cultural difference, I think, right there.
Yeah, it is. Mm. Yeah, that is a very interesting point. That's a thinker. Mm. Yeah. So the crowd over in Japan, do they ever? I mean, because I'm asking this with all due respect. Do they ever, like at a huge moment, get up and just hands in the air and freak out? There's not too many instances or occurrences of that, right?
Well, there are, but it depends on what you mean. You mean like
on
if they're
moment.
upset that they don't agree with the judgment call or something like that? You mean, or
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it happens absolutely, sure. Oh. And it also happens when they're ecstatic and they're really happy about somebody that's come out. I'm trying to give you an example right now. Let me think. When what's his name? Darn it. Takara. When our former producer, Takara, fought one of his protege, and his protege won. And the protege fell to his knees crying because he felt really good but really bad that he
Right.
had beat his old sensei, his old
Yeah.
teacher. So got the entire Saitama Super Arena, 50,000 people were on their feet.